going to spend some time, the next 90 minutes, with one of the most intelligent, interesting, and provocative gentlemen. He and his partner, George Ure, have a website called halfpasthuman.com, and the latest ALTA, A-L-T-A, Asymmetric Language Trend Analysis report has just been completed. It runs from Part 0 through Part 6. Part 6 is a done deal. We're going to tell you a little bit later on tonight how you might avail yourself of this. It is a subscriber-only service, and it is something that I place an extreme amount of confidence in. It's extraordinary research, and it goes right along with many, many things that we've talked about on this program over the 15 years we've been doing it. Welcome back, Clif.
Hello, sir.
I would like to...
I say it goes along with what your last guest was saying not 15 minutes ago.
Yeah, it does indeed. I want to really commend and praise both George Ure and you for your work. October 6th and 7th came along, and exactly as the research has been pointing, the major collapse became quite apparent, and it has been falling faster and faster ever since. So the data was right on the money.
Yeah. The release language, unfortunately, was very accurate. Yeah.
The issue involved here is a cascade of events which is going to continue on through January into February at the least, and the data could suggest other timelines as we go along. Well, that's the current read on it, correct?
Correct. We'll sort of bottom out or peak, or however you want to think of it, on about February 19th, and then a slow fade into early March on the current type of language we see out and about in the media. Lots of words ending in ing, lots of present tense discussions, lots of collapsing as opposed to, it's going to collapse. We now recognize we're in the process of it. And that kind of language sort of trails off around the 19th of February.
All right. The ALTA report just completed now. We're going to tell our listeners how they might actually receive a copy of this. Is absolutely fascinating reading. As you read through them, you'll find there'll be brackets and words within brackets. Those words within the brackets are some of the words that have been picked up by the spiders which do their crawling and brought back to the nest. Very, very interesting words, to say the least. Give our listeners just a little thumbnail sketch of what you do at Half Past Human.
Well, basically what we do is we look for the changes in language from a week-to-week basis in ordinary conversations. We think that these are predictive in the sense that the choice of word betrays the emotional qualifiers, and that those emotional qualifiers are kind of like little leaks of psychic intuition. And we project these on a time scale, develop a report around it, throw out some charts, and say, well, we think this is going to occur, and it'll involve this kind of language here. And we've had some considerable success, I think, and we're getting a little bit better at it. Make sense?
I was saying that you're being rather modest, and I think your work is extraordinary. And I think that also you must get a sense, you and George, that you are getting better at it as time goes along.
Yeah, and that could be good and it could be bad. It might be, for instance, that like a doctor suddenly recognizes a new disease and they become sensitized to it and they can see more of the disease and find it easier because they know how. It could be that we're learning our skills this way and teaching ourselves as we go along and developing a real science around this. Or there's also the alternative explanation that more things are happening. They're happening in a denser fashion as time goes rushing forward, and that's also increasing the density of the data and, in essence, making our job easier, and that our skills are no better than they were originally. We just have more to pick from.
Interestingly, as we've discussed in past programs, there is at least one other entity doing this kind of collective unconscious or collective superconscious research on the Internet, and those are the Chinese. Anything else to add to that?
Well, we know that the Chinese are very sophisticated linguists. They've been at this perhaps longer than anyone. They've had a basis of always having multiple forms of alphabet and language in the cultures that are around them and that they have to subsume. So they get very good at this kind of thing. really nothing more to add in terms of new data, except it's curious that Biden is speaking as though he's been reading one of these reports, and maybe he has his own.
Or he's been reading yours.
No, I wouldn't think that. His information is slightly different. I can give him a date, though. The test comes in on January 26th, apparently.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because that's when we have the break in the rather flat little bit of a run of release language. It's sort of a little plateau, if you will, and all of a sudden we break into a steeper angle.
How steep?
Not much. Let me pop up.
Well, we're in a very steep.
We're on a steep down
now.
gradient now, and we return to something close to this gradient that we're in now. Not quite as steep, but for say from the 22nd of December on to about the 26th of January, we're in sort of a less of a steep grade, more of a hiatus. It's still release language. It's not building tension or anything, but it's not quite as intense as it is at this point. And will continue to be over the rest of October and November.
All right. The inauguration, of course, is January the 20th. What is the date again that you're suggesting?
The 26th, 6 days later. And we could be off by a day either way. It could be the 25th or the 27th.
All right. Well, that is a very interesting date. 20th is the inauguration. The 26th, your data suggests something is going to be a challenge. But these, you know what's really interesting, and you, I guess, listened to some of the earlier part of the program tonight. These people have these things, by and large, planned out. They're set pieces.
Yeah.
They certainly have options, and they can pursue different directions and take different angles. But they run these through supercomputers. They have all the best, and they know how far they can go and how much they can push, how much the everyone.
I don't know that they're that powerful, though. They're clever, but look at how incompetent they are. And it's incompetent by design frequently, but also there's a subtext of arrogant sloppiness involved.
Yeah, and things get out of control when that happens.
And not having a grand enough vision to understand really what they're messing with. Well, it's quite interesting, the duality that's being expressed in the language just from their own sources.
That is. All right, when we come back, what I'm going to do, and I've gotten permission from George and Clif to do this, I'm going to read some excerpts from Part 6 of the current ALTA report. Again, that's Asymmetric Language Trend Analysis Report, ALTA report, when we come back and have Clif comment on that. And I think you'll be very much interested in what you're about to hear. The news, as it were, is not particularly elevated. Okay, back with Clif High. I'm going to revisit Biden's comments here just briefly to underscore what Clif just told us. Mark my words, the Democratic vice presidential nominee warned at the second of his two Seattle fundraisers Sunday. It will not be 6 months before the world tests Barack Obama like they did John Kennedy. The world is looking. We're about to elect a brilliant 47-year-old senator, president of the United States. Remember, I said it standing here. If you don't remember anything else I said, watch, we're going to have an international crisis, a generated crisis, to test the mettle of this guy. Now, Clif is suggesting that their date shows a test or some kind of bump in the road, which occurs just 6 days, maybe 7, after the inauguration, assuming Obama is elected president.
No, actually, in our case, it doesn't make any difference. Whoever it is, there's nonetheless the release language shift.
Understand. I'm just tying it to Biden. Now, there's another thing that one of my colleagues just emailed me. He suggested that this may be Biden in a way. What's the right word?
Messages within messages?
Yes, exactly. Thank you. Well, I'm just going to put it out and keep it real simple. Warning Obama that he is being tested and he had better come through as they expect, or something like what happened to John Kennedy might happen to him.
An intervention?
Yes.
As McCain puts it?
There you go.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's that. We'll put that on the table. All right, the current ALTA report. I'm going to read just some pieces, and I don't know, Clif, if I picked the ones that you would want, and if there are others,
no, if it struck you, go with it. Go with it.
There's so much here, and I can't get to all of it, but the first segment, and I would urge all of you to subscribe to these just extraordinary pieces of research. The first segment is entitled Markets Crack, C-R-A-K-K-K-K, and Defaults. And let me just read this first little segment here, and then we'll have Clif comment on it. There are, in each paragraph, in each sentence, often, words. These are the words that their research, Clif's software, his spiders, have brought back. These are the words, the unusual words, the changes in language, which give them clues as to where the future may well be going. Now, as I approach these words, I'm going to use the word quote. You'll hear in my voice there'll be a quote. The words or word immediately following that will be the words that the spiders have brought back, and you'll see how Clif and George have been able to weave these words into a